There was no blue lights fitted on the vehicles. Now, I do know that the vehicles were transferred to the city of Ekurhuleni. I think it was for a day or two until Brigadier Peace raised certain concerns and overturned that. But there was a transfer for a minimal period. So the cost there, which was a lot of later saw, was about 200 Rand per vehicle to transfer the vehicles. But the entire process, if you go into the process of that, Chair, it's more than that. Transferring the vehicles is one thing, and showing the documents. You're not even showing for vehicles that are older than 3 years. Where's a certificate of acceptability or certificate of compliance? You know, your roadworthy certificates. Where are these documents? Because if you go into an open environment, Chair, and whether the shop steward or attendants on the other sides, these will be issues that I think. So are we not putting ourselves at risk in terms of we're going ahead with it? We're not investigating the other role players. Even the chief, your statement about what you knew of that. I saw a letter where you say, I think it was, Chair, and I'll be corrected. There was a letter dated the 31st of March 2022. That was after the State of the City. Sorry, State of the City was 22. The next day, after the chief observed all of these issues, he wrote a letter, I think, to Mzolo. Mzolo was the direct in charge of Brigadier Mkonazi. And I could not see anything to say, but Mzolo, I want a full meeting. I want to know what is happening here, because the State of City address, you can't ask somebody for a written response. There should have been an engagement and to say, bring all the parties together. I want to know, because what would have happened had one of those snipers killed one of the people attending there? And we know now from the evidence here, Ekurhuleni is becoming a place of peace, but unfortunately, what is happening in Ekurhuleni is not. So these are some of my concerns that I've raised here, because then I will have a separate claim to deal with if somebody was killed, even if the executive mayor was killed. So, and my concern was, but did you only rely on a operational plan, which has now been stated to be said it was forged? But when the other engagements from at least 2 weeks, a month before, 2 weeks before, a week before, and daily before the SOCA, that I would think is when you're applying your full powers. So hence, Commissioner Baloyi, sorry, in that long-winded thing, but to show that it was not a matter of just saying, Brigadier did this, he donated vehicles, he brought donations in, he put in blue lights. This was, for me, look at the full landscape of what we're dealing with. We're dealing with serious implications from CAT VIP services, from Medicare 24, and how they even got, even COVID-19. If they were involved in COVID-19, there was a program run by HR. Because in terms of the staff letters that go off, those were all dealt with between HR and the department involved. So, Chair, I just want to move on then for the purpose of, but I think we've got the crux of what I'm trying to achieve. Guabe as well didn't take the responsibility he should have on page 14, paragraph 58, Chair. He ought to have sent it back to Brigadier and said, no, follow the process. But apparently those cadets would not have qualified. It would have caused a different problem if that happened. So, Chair, on page 15, page 68, with that, I totally reject the fact that I pressured him to hand over the docket and stopped all processes. The next time the docket was referred to was when there was a BX mail, a Bixi email, and then the forensic investigators got involved. I raised that because I am the Deputy Information Officer in terms of POPIA. And if there was credibility, bring forward, even if it's to council, send it through. But when you start to do that, and if later on, if time permits, or as I'm permitted, Chair, we can go into the details of the BX email. But what I did was raise my concerns as a Deputy Information Officer to the Office of City Manager. She called in the Chief Audit Executive at that stage, and then they proceeded further with the appointment of that. But, Chair, I don't get offended if a department head doesn't take my opinion. Because they do that with a full understanding that I will not be called in to defend the position later on. It happened in quite a few matters. Even external senior counsel give an opinion. That opinion is rejected. We spend money on the external legal counsel. And one of the such matters is that, which came to a header, I think, in the report of Dr. Zweli Mkhize. My apologies, Chair.
Sorry, Chair. I note that it's 11 o'clock. Might we take the tea adjourned?
Please hold your thought, Mr. Behari. Let's resume at 11:15. Let's adjourn.
Okay.